Okay, guys, a very warm welcome. In today's session, we are starting competitive programming in Python. When it comes to competitive programming, you need to know a good idea about data structures and the algorithms which we can apply or to find out solutions to various different problems. So what we will be doing we'll be working out on data structures today, and we'll see how things happens. I'm just going to copy that. First, before we start the session, I'm going to save it in your mentor's card. So we have done a lot of stuff in Python, as you already know. Now we will understand behind the scenes what was happening when we were writing all those applications like Twitter automation and Google API connections. Then we have done Selenium automation and a lot of stuff we have already done. So the APIs, functions, classes, everything, whatever we are using, we were using a lot of data structures and everything in it. So now what we are going to do, we are going to understand how all these stuff actually works on the system and how or what important things you need to understand as a competitive programmer. Okay, so let's say I'm going to quickly save today's video here. Competitive programming in Python, intro to data structures. Okay, before we get on to introduction to data structures, one thing which I really want to tell you is why is competitive programming required, and how companies or what all resources companies actually share to their candidates so that they can prepare well, and what kind of technologies companies actually search. So I'll quickly take you to one of my mails, and I'm going to show you a mail from Facebook when somebody applies at Facebook, and they get this information in return. Okay. I'll just get back to my second ID. So we are going here and we are just quickly checking it out. Just give me, yeah, here. So now let's say if you have applied for Facebook for a position somewhat like, let's say, data engineer position. So when they initiate the process by having a technical phone screen. Now in the technical phone screen, what kind of information you actually get here is, you get here something like this. Thank you again for taking time to speak with us. I have included the data engineer job description and preparation questions that we discussed. Please let me know if you have any questions. And these are some of the things which they actually look into. So I would use sites as main source of coding. You can see that. With respect to coding, what they actually prefer. So this is the website leadcode.com, leadcode problems. Arush, I think we have already done a couple of problems in that, a couple of
yes, sir.
back. So now
yes,
this is to complete all the problems, whatever we do have available. So we will be solving each of these problems with Python, and we'll understand what Python has for us. Followed by, for SQL preparations, what they suggest is over LeetCode, you have problems for SQL also. Okay. So what SQL offers, what the LeetCode offers, it offers you different kinds of problem statements which you can solve. Okay. So we'll be covering all the data structures issues, the databases issues, and various other things. Okay. Now coming to the next point, after you feel comfortable working through a mixture of easy, medium, and difficult problems, I would want to share the below items. So let's say once the person has been done with let's say coding and SQL preparations, then you have the Facebook Code Lab. Okay, I think Facebook Code Lab is not available. Then get that job at Facebook. That's the blog post. Get that job at Facebook. What is the actual process of getting shortlisted for Facebook, or how do they actually hire? Okay, so this is a 7-minute read which you can really read out, and you will get on to understanding the complete process. Okay, so what is the actual process when it comes to getting a job at Facebook. So let's say interviewing for a technical job is hard, and so is being the interviewer. We want to get that engineering job at Facebook, and we want to hire the best people. Knowing what to expect on both sides can go a long way toward making the process better. Preparation is important. Hiring here and across the industry is like shooting a few protons into the very large space of your life experience, hoping to get enough information back to say that yes, this specimen is definitely made of elemental osmium. We're trying to build a picture of your abilities as a professional and a colleague from a handful of data points. So how do we do it? Every role is different and we are always tweaking things. So don't freak out if your experience is different from what's laid out here. Typically, it will start with an email or a phone call from a recruiter. Perhaps they found you online or you applied directly or a friend recommended you. We also have an intern program where we invite talented students to work with us for a few months. After talking with a recruiter and passing the basic hurdles, a coordinator will schedule you for a phone screen or an initial in-person interview. If the feedback is good, we'll invite you for a long series of interviews at our office. If that goes well, we make you an offer. So technical interviews tend to follow the same general pattern. Talk about your past work, what all you have done, some interactive coding, answering anything you're curious about, and selling you on the idea of coming to work for us. Now, what they do in phone screen and on-site interviews, the initial screening interview is a 45-minute talk with a potential co-worker. The idea is to slot you with someone in your general area of expertise. They will explain who they are and what they do. Ask you about interesting things from your resume, your skills, motivation, interests, and so on. The bulk of the time is spent on coding exercises. The interviewer will send you a link to collaborative editor, ask you to solve some programming problems. More about that in a second. So that means here somewhere you need that competitive programming stuff because you need to know the right algorithm and you need to sort it out in the best possible time. Now, in the on-site loop, what they really do is the loop is several interviews back to back on the same day, usually with a lunch break. Instead of coding in a text editor, you will likely be asked to write code on a whiteboard. And of course, there will be time to ask the interview anything you want. So that means they might be asking some complexity kind of questions, and that does not need to be done over the coding window. It could be done on something like a plain board or a whiteboard or something. And mostly the questions are related to system design and your database schema questions, and again, coming to your complexity questions. So what they really look for, these traits are not all we look for, nor all we care about, but here are some of the things that interviews base their decisions on. So right fit, generalism, architecture, coding skills. So good coding skills are a very, very important things. Okay. Now, how do they prepare? So Steve Ye from Google wrote an excellent post about interview preparation a few years ago. So there is one more nice article. I will be sharing all these with you guys, so that you all can quickly get to read it post the session completes. Okay. Get that job at Facebook. There's an article from Facebook Engineering, which you guys would be reading in. Then there's a Steve's blog, Get That Job at Google. Okay. So here he has discussed about the complete interview process and everything. A quite meaningful information is available over here, which you can really read out, put in some time so that you will understand. Okay. So these are some of the things like which they really ask for. Technical preparation, they've asked for algorithmic complexity, sorting, hash tables, trees, graphs, okay, and other data structures. Then NP complete problems. Then various questions on mathematics, operating systems, coding with C++ or Java. Okay. But you can write in Python as well. Nowadays, they are not limited to any programming language. Okay. So this is a preferred language since freshers and students learn C++ and Java in their academic curriculum. But now Python has also been introduced and Python is also very popular. Now, but let's say once you understand the data structures, you should be able to code it in all of these languages because there are some benefits to different programming languages with respect to different scenarios. Suppose I'll give you an example. In case if you have to calculate a factorial of 500. You won't be able to calculate that in C++. You need certain things like big integers and so you need Java programming language for that. Okay, so there are various tips and tweaks like that. So this is the second article which I'm sharing with you guys. So an article from Steve, get that job at Google. Okay, you all can quickly read out the blog post from here. Then then you have to write a lot of coding practices you have to do. Okay, I'll just follow you to the link. I think Code Kata has, I'll just quickly open Code Kata. Okay. So here, there are a lot of hash classes, checkouts, objectives, trigrams, बहुत सारे important problem statements हैं. Okay. So you can quickly get to learn about it. इसको भी मैं डाल देता हूँ यहाँ पे. Okay. Yeah. So you all can quickly practice all these questions and all. These are very, very important. Okay. Now coming back to the important things again. So what kind of phone screen questions are there when it comes to interview preparations and all? So these are 5 essentials phone screen questions. There are questions on anti-patterns, acid test questions. Okay. Where it includes coding, operating design, scripting, data structures, bits and bytes. Okay. Then there will be different kinds of questions which you can really work into. And this is also maintained by Steve Yeager. So it has a very, very important information about the terminologies and everything you guys need to understand. I'll put that as well. 5 essential phone screen questions. 5 essential phone screen questions. Okay, so you need to go through with all of these, followed by cracking the interview book is a very popular book. Then we do have Career Cup. Okay, Career Cup, SQL interview questions, and data warehousing scheme in case if you're applying for data science, data analysis, data engineering positions, and so. Okay, so these are some of the popular positions in the industry. But with respect to other positions also, majority of the questions are based on these data structures and the attitude with respect to your right fit and all that stuff. Okay. Similarly, there are some SQL interview questions. These are some test questions with respect to SQL, which are very important. You can quickly have a look. These are some of the basic 5-6 schema-based questions which you need to answer. Okay. So you can refer this also, JIT-bit questions. This is loading in a moment. And then you have the data warehousing schemas. So that's on how data warehousing schemas are created and all. Okay, so the schema definitions and everything, this is also very, very important. So you can reach out to tutorials point and you can quickly explore data warehousing schemas. These are very important. So I'll just quickly put this also. Data warehousing schemas. Okay, so we got a lot of information. As you can see, we got data warehousing schemas, 5 essential questions. Then we got get that job at Google, get that job at Facebook. So these are some of the very, very important things which you need to understand when it comes to corporate interviews with giants like Facebook, Google. Okay, so people dream of going to those companies. Now, in order to get into that, the very first hurdle or the very first stage you have to be very, very sure to clear is competitive programming. Okay, so with respect to competitive programming, as of now here, I think there are more than 220, I think 2000 problems are there overall, I believe, on Lead Code. So we will be working out on these problems with respect to our programming language. But before you dive into these problems, I would like to take your data structure skills to next level. Okay, so that is very, very important. So once you understand how actually things are working, then we can easily implement things. Okay, now, so I'm going to take you to some of these functionalities of Python programming, and we are going to implement that. The very first thing which I'm going to get started with is going to be a list. Okay, because lists are by default available in Python documentation, which means in Python you have that lists data structures available by default, and rest you can use list as different data structures. Like you can use list as stack, queues, you can perform list comprehensions, you can perform listed list comprehensions. Then you have other data structures like tuples, sequences, sets, dictionaries, and so on. So what I'll do is I'm going to make you understand about all of these structures and how they are actually implemented, so that once you understand data structures, you will be able to fight out any of the problems with the selection of the right data structures and selection of the right algorithm to solve that. Okay, so we'll be working on that. When it comes to algorithms design, there is a book by David Kennedy. We will be not David Kennedy, I think I'll give you that book. So it's a very important book which you should be reading definitely, so as to understand how things are actually being implemented. Coming to the main point, so we are going to start with lists, let's say. Okay, so first what I want to show you is, let's say I'm going to give you a quick animation of lists on this website visualgo.net. Okay, let's say you are here at visualgo.net and we have to get started with some of the operations. So here on VisualGo, we do have the simulations of how sorting is done, bit masking, linked lists, hash tables, binary heap, binary search trees, graph data structures, union find, segment trees, Fenwick trees, recursion, graph traversal, minimum spanning tree, shortest path, network flows. Then we have graph matching, cycle finding, suffix tree, suffix array, geometry design, Steiner trees, traveling salesman problems. So these are NP complete problems. Okay, minimum vertex cover and convex hull. I give you one thing: if you are able to cover all of these data structures and algorithms to approach towards these, you definitely are going to impact a lot over the recruiter. Okay, so we'll start from the very first. We'll start from this combination of linked list. First, I'm going to show you how it is implemented over here, and then I'm going to show you how practically it is implemented with respect to a program memory when the program runs on a machine, how actually it executes. Now, so what do you already know is we can make use of lists, and what all we have to understand over here is you're going to understand list, stacks, queues, dynamic linked lists, and dequeues. These are 5 data structures which you guys need to understand. Okay, so there are 5 modes of these. So we will be working towards linked list, we'll be working towards stack, queues, डायनेमिक लिंक लिस्ट एंड DQs. ये पांचों आपको पता होने चाहिए. ठीक है, तो पहले थोड़ी सी एक बेसिक डेफिनेशन हो जाए. क्या कहते हैं बेसिक डेफिनेशन के अंदर? So linked list is a data structure consisting of a group of vertices nodes which together represent a sequence. Under the simplest form, each vertex is composed of a data and a reference linked to the next vertex in sequence. Okay. Try clicking search 77. So here we can quickly search 77 for a sample animation on searching of a value in a single linked list. Okay. So here there are certain operations on the left hand side. We can create a list, we can search in the list, we can insert into a list, and we can remove into the list. Okay. Now what am I going to do? I'm going to show you how this practically happens. Okay. Suppose first what we are going to do, we are going to create a list. So I'm going to create a user defined list. Okay. And let's say I'm going to define a list something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Here is a list of 5, and I'm going to do that animation very shortly, very slowly, so that you guys are able to understand the appropriate stuff. And then I'm going to do that practically for you. Okay. So I've got Visual Studio there. Sorry, the simulations are here. And then I'm going to write that programs for you, and I'll show you how am I going to show you everything. Okay. So now I have 2 interfaces. On the left hand side, I'll be coding. This is a customized interface we have created for you guys, so that you get the right experience of how things actually work. So this is a customized debugger which we have made in Visual Studio. And later, once you guys are done with the understanding and everything, I'm going to show you how we built this also. Now, coming to this point, as I show you, we have clicked on create a user defined list, and I'm going to create a list with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, okay, I'll do one more thing. Let me just, yeah. So we got a list created, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Guys, just give me a confirmation if you are able to see that we got a list where we have a head 1 and there is a tail which is number 5. अब ये यहाँ पे सिमुलेशन में तो बहुत इजीली हमें दिख गया, ओके, कि 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 हमारी लिस्ट बन गई. बट वन वी एक्चुअली मेक इट इन अ प्रोग्राम, हाउ things are done, that is what we are going to understand. Okay, so working of list data structure in Python. So I'm going to run each and every line of code, and I'm going to show you how actually what actually is being executed when you create a list. Okay, step by step. So now let's say I'm going to create a list, and I'm going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so, and I'm going to call it as a my list. Okay, there's something which I want to execute. Now you need to understand, when we do call this statement, we create the list using square braces that you already know, and we can put in some items in it, and then we can assign these values onto a variable. Now I'm going to show you how it actually is executed. So I'm going to call it as program1. Okay, I'm going to save it as a Python file. Now, so I have started debugging this program, and I will be debugging this line number 3 at the moment. Okay, now what exactly is going to happen, you need to understand. Before I show you what exactly is going to happen, you need to do your observations on a few things. First, you will be doing your observations in the memory, in the heap. Okay, heap is something, the memory where all your data is available. Okay, so what are we going to do? We are going to understand how each and every operation is executing and how the data is being stored into the memory of the computer. Okay, then once the data is done, how we ensure those variables, followed by how the statements are going to execute. We'll observe that here. We'll understand the complete program tree, how things are going to execute step by step, everything like that. Okay, जब भी मैंने execute किया तो यहाँ पे मेरी value एक list आ गई, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll show you how each and how step by step things happens. Okay, उसके बाद में फिर आप क्लियरली समझोगे. ठीक है, तो चलो अब दिखाते हैं. सबसे पहले, so I'm getting into the debugger. I'm going to step into this line number 3. Now you see what happens. So once we start creating a list, सबसे पहले हमने 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 elements लिए. The elements which are selected here, you can quickly see that. Okay, you can unmute your mic and you can speak in case if you have any questions. Okay, so we got a list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are focusing on this statement now. Now what will actually happen? First, once we have selected this, we are going to go to number 1, the very first identified number. Okay, now once we get to this number is going to be added into heap. That is the first step. Okay, so now you can see that number 1, which was the data, it is now stored on this memory address 45B20. Okay, now you can see that on this statement, value number 1 is stored on this memory address. So what is this ID? This is the memory of a computer machine, and on this memory offset, we got 1 stored. How many of you are clear till here? So the very first step which happened is we have actually inserted value 1 into memory. Give me a confirmation if you're clear.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Palak, you're here. Are you able to understand?
Yeah.
Right. Going to the second point, first the value has been stored into the heap. Now we'll go to the second value 2. Value number 2 is going to be stored into the heap. Now there is one thing which you guys need to understand here. First offset was 45B20. Second offset was 45B40. What is the meaning of this? Okay, so these are the memory addresses represented in hexadecimal format. Okay, in hexadecimal, let's say I will say F 45, let's say I'll call 5b 20. Okay, this is a value in hexadecimal. I'm ignoring this one 10. ठीक है, फर्स्ट वाले की मैं अभी कर रहा हूँ, और मैं ये इसको हेक्साडेसिमल रिप्रेजेंटेशन है 0x, तो मैंने 105C4 को मैंने इग्नोर कर दिया है जस्ट आप लोगों को दिखाने के लिए 5b20 और 5b40 में डिफरेंस कितना है। ठीक है, सो क्योंकि हमने एक नंबर 1 लिया है, अगर मैं इसको डेसिमल में कन्वर्ट करूं, ठीक है, इफ आई कन्वर्ट दैट इनटू डेसिमल्स, so you can see that this value somewhere comes 23328. Okay, 23328. Now if I go to the next one, okay, next one may, if I do 5b40, and if I convert that into this, so this becomes 23360. Okay, so 23360 minus 23328 is 32, which means your 1 is stored into heap at a memory address starting from B20, and this 1 is converted into a 32-bit number, which means if I quickly type it here, now 1 is converted into 32 times 0, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so in the same way 32 times this is going to be converted into binary. Okay, so because as you already understand, a computer only understands binary. Okay, 0 and 1, values of 0 and 1. So what exactly is going to be done if I just convert this value number 1, let's say if I just convert this value number 1 into binary. Okay, so this is octal, here is the binary. Okay, so I'm going to get for 1, it's going to be at bit number 0, this is going to be 1, and all other up to 32 bits are going to be 0 0 0 0 0. So somewhat like this, if I tell you this particular binary data, this, okay, this is the binary data, this 1 is represented in binary in a 32-bit architecture like this, and this full data is going to be stored at this memory address. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, where was I was here. Okay, so this is going to be stored in this at OX 10C45B20. Okay, and followed by 31 more memory offsets, and once these 31 more memory offsets are gone, उसके बाद में ये वाला वैल्यू इस वाले ऑफसेट पे जो आपका नेक्स्ट वेरिएबल है वो आके स्टोर हो जाएगा। इज दैट क्लियर टिल हियर? यहां तक क्लियर है आप लोगों को?
यस।
यानी हर मेमोरी के ऑफसेट पे एक बाइट स्टोर होता है, ठीक है, एक बिट स्टोर होता है। तो 32 बिट अगर हमारा इंटीजर है तो इट विल टेक 32 मेमोरी एड्रेसेस, ओके, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम B20, ओके, एंड गोइंग टू द नेक्स्ट वन विल स्टार्ट एट B40. Palak, is it clear? Just give me a confirmation if this is clear till here. Okay, now we quickly get back to the program again, and now you see, so value of third is being identified, that has been stored into heap. Value of 4 has been identified, that has been put onto heap. Value of 5 has been identified, that has also been put onto heap. Till now you can see that none of my variable has been created. Okay, up till now I have not got any of my variables created, because variables will be created once we are going to assign that variable. अभी तो हम लिस्ट के अंदर जो एलिमेंट्स हैं सिर्फ उनकी ही मेमोरी एड्रेसेस एक्सट्रैक्ट हो रही हैं, ठीक है। अब हमें ये पूरे पांचों मेमोरी एड्रेस मिल गए। अब इन पांचों मेमोरी एड्रेस के अंदर जो एलिमेंट है उसको उठा करके हम एक नए एड्रेस में स्टोर कर देंगे, ठीक है। तो नाउ यू कैन सी दैट हैज बीन स्टोर्ड ऑन टू सम अदर एड्रेस। तो जो डेटा था वो तो आपका सीक्वेंस में था 1 2 3 4 5, ओके, यानी देखो 20 40 60 80 एंड BA0, दैट मींस 32 बाइट का इंफॉर्मेशन छोड़ने के बाद अब 1 2 3 4 5 आपका एक नए मेमोरी एड्रेस में स्टोर हो गया है. ओके, दिस बिकम्स योर लिस्ट. ओके, तो अब ये जो मेमोरी एड्रेस है OX7FAEB0, this address we are going to take and we are going to assign this address to a variable known as mylist. ठीक है, तो अब अगर आप यहाँ पे टॉप पे देखोगे तो हुआ क्या, जहां पे हमारी 1 2 3 4 5 लिस्ट हीप में अवेलेबल है वो उठा के हमने mylist वेरिएबल के अंदर इंस्टॉल कर दिया. ठीक है, इज दैट क्लियर? दिस इज अवर सैंपल लिस्ट कंडीशन. Kindly give me a confirmation if you are clear till here.
Yes.
So my list is pointing to a memory address. On that memory address, you have a list of 5 elements 1 2 3 4 5 in sequence. So पूरे number of bits हैं वहाँ पे. ठीक है? Clear? Now, so variable भी एक location पे store है 1 2 3 4 5 और वो पूरा का पूरा combination of list भी एक memory address के ऊपर stored है. Okay? Arush, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Is it an eye opener of the basic statement जो आप इतने दिनों से यूज कर रहे हो? लिस्ट बनाते हैं हम. ठीक है?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, if I give something like my name, okay, let's say if I'm going to give you some 5 elements here. Let's say Devanshu, and let's say I'll take Arush, then I'll take, let's say, Palak. Okay, with 3 are here. Now I'm going to test that with this. Okay, so I'll get to the next statement. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll just debug it again. Okay. I'll step over to the next statement. So next statement में क्या होगा देखो. अब मैंने इसको दोबारा डिबग करना स्टार्ट किया तो सबसे पहले देवांशु आरुष पलक निकला. We extracted देवांशु. देवांशु को उठा के हमने एक दूसरे एड्रेस में स्टोर कर दिया 3570 पे. ठीक है. अब अगर ये सीक्वेंस देखोगे कि 1 2 3 4 5 के बाद देवांशु चला गया पुराने वाले एड्रेस के ऊपर. ठीक है. सो कैसे होता है ये स्टेप, ये भी हम आगे देख सकते हैं. ठीक है, और डिटेल में घुस सकते हैं, बट we'll discuss on that. That is not much important here. This is just to give you an understanding कि वेरिएबल्स एक सेक्शन में स्टोर हो रहे हैं आपके चल के. ठीक है, आरुष हमने उठाया, आरुष हमने नेक्स्ट सीक्वेंस में स्टोर कर दिया. उसके नेक्स्ट सीक्वेंस में हमने पलक वेरिएबल को फेच किया, पलक को हमने स्टोर कर दिया. तीनों को हमने उठाया, इसको एक मेमोरी एड्रेस पे स्टोर किया और वो मेमोरी एड्रेस हमने माई नेम नाम के वेरिएबल में ऊपर अलॉट कर दिया. So it same goes with integers or whether you use string. Okay, Palak, is it clear?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so guys, so whether you create your integers or you create strings, you can create lists like that. Let's say we have a few more data structures. Okay, we do have the tuple, we do have the set, and we do have that what do you call this one, dictionary. Okay, so we are going to understand how they are being used. Okay, तो आपको ना comparative analysis एक मिल जाएगी. ठीक है, so let's say I'm going to create, let's say, my tuple. Okay, so tuple, how do you create the tuples? Just give me, do you guys remember how do we create the tuples? Palak?
No, I don't remember.
So you can quickly call this function tuple, and let's say with tuple, as you know, it is a non-modifiable data structure. Okay, so let's say if I put the same values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a tuple, now what is going to happen? Okay, let's have a look. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to paste it here. Let us just debug it. Okay, so I'm going to step over the second one. I'm going to step over to the third one. यहाँ पे अब हम देखते हैं, ठीक है, कैसे हम my tuple बना रहे हैं. We'll step into this code. So we are going to call this function tuple. Okay, function को हम कॉल करेंगे. प्रोग्राम ट्री हम देखते चलेंगे साथ में, ठीक है. एडिटर में आ चुका है हमारे पास एंड ऑब्जेक्ट इंस्पेक्टर, ठीक है. चलो ठीक है, ऑब्जेक्ट इंस्ट्रक्टर अभी जब क्लास और वो सब बनेगी ना तब हम देखेंगे कौन से वैल्यू में क्या असाइन होता है, आगे उसको भी देखेंगे. अब हम टपल बनाने जा रहे हैं, ठीक है. लेट्स हैव अ लुक हाउ टपल इज बीइंग, हाउ वी मेक अ टपल. So now again you're going to take up the memory 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we took that memory 1057B0 B20. So can you see that once you have created that variable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, either time in the program, that memory address will automatically be taken. Okay, can you see that new memory address is not assigned? That is very important thing to know. Anybody can ask you कि अगर मान लो आप दो इस तरीके से अगर आप चाहे एक टपल बना रहे हो, एक लिस्ट बना रहे हो, तो जो वैल्यू 1 है वो सेम एड्रेस की होगी या अलग अलग एड्रेस की होगी? ठीक है, सो नाउ हियर यू कैन सी दैट दिस बिलोंग्स टू द सेम एड्रेस. ओके, इट्स अ वेरी नाइस थिंग टू नोटिस. अब मान लो अब गलती से अगर 1 का वैल्यू अगर कोई प्रोग्राम में रनेबल प्रोग्राम के अंदर इफ somebody is trying to hack into this address or something like that, okay, अगर ये एड्रेस हैक हो जाता है तो फिर तो वो पूरा प्रोग्राम दोनों माई लिस्ट और माई टपल दोनों हैक हो जाएंगे. ठीक है, सो बट विल कम टू दैट पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट एंड विल सी. So now you can see here this 1057B0 B20 is automatically taken and is being put here onto that tuple, even though we have declared them separately. ऊपर हमने 1 2 3 4 5 अलग किया था, नीचे हमने 1 2 3 4 5 अलग किया है. ठीक है, समझ रहे हो आप लोग? Then we got to the second one, we selected B40. We got to the third one, we selected B60. We got to the fourth one, we selected B80. Fifth भी हमारे पास है, फिफ्थ का भी हम एड्रेस ले लेंगे BA0. So exactly same वही elements हैं. ठीक है, now what is going to happen? So once we do that, we selected that complete tuple. अब क्या करेंगे? tuple को उठा करके we will be storing that onto somewhere. ठीक है, on a tuple. So tuple expected at most 1 arguments got 5. ठीक है, इस tuple के अंदर हमें actually ये वाला जो tuple function है, I think directly एक ही देना होता है. नॉर्मली बना लेते हैं ऐसा. ठीक है, मेक अ टपल समवट लाइक दैट, ऐसे स्टेप ओवर कर लेते हैं. ठीक है, लेट्स से विल गो टू द स्टेप ओवर दिस 1 2. ठीक है, 1053 E6 दोबारा रन हुआ है B20. ठीक है, 4 and 5. 6 होता तो क्रिएट होता, इसको उठाया हमने. अब हमारा एक ही एड्रेस आ गया 7FD. okay, 7FD 38AA59E30. okay, that has been taken here and now it is going to be stored onto my tuple. okay, so I'll go here in the variables and you can see that now you have a list which is stored separately, you have a tuple which is stored separately, even though it is being taken from the same elements, from the same memory address. okay, तो वहां से एड्रेस में से वैल्यू कॉपी होती है और दूसरी जगह पे ले जाके स्टोर कर दी जाती है. okay, in a specific data structure format. So that is how the tuple is being stored over here. Now if I let's say add in 6 here, what is going to happen? I'll debug that again. Let's step over to the third step again. Now I'll get into it. We got 1 2 3 4 5. And now once we'll go to the sixth one, so the sixth one is going to be created, okay, just next to BA0, BC0 is going to be added. तो अब आप यहाँ पे देख रहे हो कि जो भी आपके वेरिएबल्स असाइनमेंट हो रहे हैं वो सीक्वेंस में असाइनमेंट हो रहे हैं. ठीक है, चाहे वो अलग अलग स्टेटमेंट्स के भी हों. तो जो भी आप वेरिएबल्स इनिशियलाइज करते हो, दे आर बीइंग अलॉटेड इनटू सीक्वेंस फ्रॉम लोअर मेमोरी एड्रेसेस टू हायर मेमोरी एड्रेसेस. ओके, बिकॉज दिस इज अ लोअर मेमोरी एड्रेस, this is a higher memory address. Can you see that the addresses are increasing in the downwards order, so the variables are also assigned in the same way. Give me a confirmation if this is clear to you all.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we got an address and we stored that address with my tuple. So now if somebody asks you how it stores, so it actually stores the address, and on that address the information is available. Okay, so here you can see that we got a tuple, we got a list, and we got a list of names here. Now you can always understand this, since there is address space layout randomization techniques, ASLR बोलते हैं उसे, address space layout randomization. इस वजह से अगर देखोगे तो टपल कहीं पहले चला गया है. पिछली बार टपल बाद में अलॉट हुआ था, इस बार टपल को कोई एक पहले का मेमोरी एड्रेस अलॉट हो गया है. सो इट इज नॉट फिक्स, इट इज गोइंग टू चेंज एवरी टाइम. And why is this done? This is done to avoid remote code execution attacks like buffer overflow attacks and all, so as to protect against cyber security of that program. Okay, नहीं तो कोई क्या करेगा, जैसे मान लो वेरिएबल वन कोई इनपुट है, ठीक है, वो उस इनपुट पे अपनी कमांड शेल दे देगा या कोई हैकिंग कोड दे देगा, वो जाके रिटर्न पॉइंटर पे जाके एग्जीक्यूट हो जाती है और शेल चला जाता है, यानी वो कंप्यूटर हैक हो जाता है या वो एप्लीकेशन हैक हो जाती है, ठीक है। इसलिए उस चीज को अवॉइड करने के लिए ये क्या करते हैं, एड्रेस स्पेस लेआउट रैंडमाइजेशन करते हैं। तो कोई भी डेटा स्ट्रक्चर किसी भी मेमोरी लोकेशन पे जाके स्टोर हो सकता है, ठीक है, जरूरी नहीं है वो सीक्वेंस में ही जाके स्टोर होगा। लेकिन वेरिएबल्स अगर आप देखोगे तो वेरिएबल्स हमेशा सीक्वेंस में स्टोर हो रहे हैं। इज दैट क्लियर? गिव मी अ confirmation if that's clear to you guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, similarly, you do have a set also. Okay. In set, you can automatically you have a set variable which you can call using set. Okay. So let's say we'll call my set. I think there is a list set, and let's say I'm going to use 1 2 3 4 5 6 for the list for the set also, or let's say we are going to use 1 2 3 4 5. Let's just debug that. Okay, the set one. We'll step over to the fourth statement. Again, we are going to call set. We are going to read 1 2 3 4 5 values. Again, they are being taken from the same memory addresses. Okay, and we initialize set. अच्छा, सेट को भी आपको सेट वाले नोटेशन के थ्रू आप कॉल करोगे, बिकॉज इट ओनली टेक्स वन आर्ग्यूमेंट हियर, ठीक है, सेट के अंदर। सो वी ऑलरेडी हैव डन दैट। आई जस्ट टेक यू क्विकली टू द रेफरेंस सो दैट आप लोगों को एक बार डॉक्यूमेंट के साथ रेफर कर देते हैं अलॉन्ग विद द स्टेटमेंट्स। सो वंस वी गो हियर, लेट्स से we'll get on to the documentation, and I'm going to show you a quick definition once again so that it's pretty clear to you guys. Okay, we'll go here, Python docs. Here under the tutorial, you can see that we started this earlier, जहाँ पे हमारे पास वो थे here, ठीक है। So we have the tuple sequences, sets and dictionaries. That's what we are taking up here. Okay, so for tuple, as you have already seen, we can quickly define tuples using the following mechanism. राउंड ब्रेसेस के साथ आप यूज कर सकते हो, ठीक है। उसके बाद में सेट जब आप बनाते हो कर्ली ब्रेसेस के साथ यूज कर सकते हो, लेकिन अगर उसमें की वैल्यू पेयर दे दोगे तो वो डिक्शनरी बन जाती है, ठीक है। सेट एक वैल्यू सिंगल लेता है, जब कर्ली ब्रेसेस बना के यूज करो तो it can put multiple values in it. A set is an unordered collection with no duplicate elements. Okay, so basic uses include membership testing and eliminating duplicate entries. So आप set बना करके store कर सकते हो information को under a set with a curly brace. Let's have a quick look of this curly brace also. Okay, we go here. Guys, just give me a moment. Yeah, Kamlesh, I'm in a session. Yeah, once I get free, I'll give you a call. So now let's see. So we are going to define the set using the curly braces. Okay, and let's see. Let's just put 1 2 3 4 5. Let me just arrange it in a little nice way so that it's understood. Okay, I'm going to run set now. Once we are going into the set, let's step over to the fourth statement, and here we are going to observe all this now. So we'll get into it. So we got into set, we selected this set 1 2 3 4 5. All these values are going to be taken, BC0, B60, B80. Okay, and the fifth one. Okay, 72 ACBC0. अब यहां से देखोगे B20 आया, B40 आया, B60 आया, B80 आया, BA0 आया, ठीक है। 1 2 3 4 5 आ गए। सेट हमने सेलेक्ट किया। सेट सेलेक्ट करने के बाद में एक मेमोरी एड्रेस मिला, सेट भी एक ऑल्टरनेट माई सेट स्टोर हो गया जाके एक नए मेमोरी एलिमेंट में, ठीक है। तो नाउ यू कैन सी दैट ये नॉर्मली जो आपका सेट टपल स्टोर होता है वो राउंड ब्रेसेस के साथ, जो आपकी लिस्ट है वो स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट्स के साथ, और जो आपका ये है सेट कर्ली ब्रेसेस के बाद, ठीक है. Similarly, let's say we are going to create a dictionary also. So I'm going to create a dictionary name, and I'll say name is Devanshu Shukla, Devanshu, and let's say I'm going to add a second one. I'll put age, okay, and age I'll put, let's say 30, and I'm going to add one number also. ठीक है, चलो ये दो ही पहले स्टोर कर लेता है. So I'm posting one integer also in a key value pair format and a string as well in my dictionary. Let's just go towards that also. Okay, we are here at the step number 4. Now what's going to happen? We are going to select the statement. We are going to execute code. This one will be executed first. Now to execute that, first we got a key value. Okay, अब देखना इसको मेमोरी में कैसे स्टोर होता है. We got a name. अब हमने इसको नेम को एज अ स्ट्रिंग स्टोर कर लिया एट अ मेमोरी एड्रेस. ठीक है, जो आप की वैल्यू की देते हो, द की हैज बीन स्टोर्ड एज नेम एट अ लोकेशन हियर. कैन यू सी दैट? Followed by, once again, if I step into the value, second I'm going to take Devanshu. Devanshu's address is 8570, which is already available somewhere. तो अगर पुरानी वैल्यू मेरे पास कहीं और भी थी, ठीक है, सेम नंबर ऑफ बाइट्स की, तो वो सेम कॉल हो जाती है. ठीक है, 8570 अगर मेमोरी एड्रेस देखोगे तो पुराना वाला देवांशु जो ऑलरेडी मेमोरी में अवेलेबल था, अगर मेमोरी में अवेलेबल है तो द सेम वन विल बी टेकन. ओके, कैन यू सी दैट? ये पार्ट क्लियर हो रहा है आपको? अगर एक बार आपने कोई भी इंटीजर वेरिएबल या कुछ भी डिक्लेयर किया है, ठीक है, that the same element from that memory address will be taken out. Palak, Arush, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, नाउ वी गेट टू एज. हमने एक एज स्ट्रिंग बनाई और हमने 30 लिया. 30 अब हम ऊपर डिक्लेयर कर देंगे. ठीक है, वी हैव डिक्लेयर्ड 30 इन द मेमोरी नाउ. ओके, नाउ वंस दिस इज डन, व्हाट नेक्स्ट वी आर गोइंग टू डू? वी आर गोइंग टू टेक द कंप्लीट key value pair dictionary and we are going to put that onto a new memory address and we are going to assign that here as my dictionary. Okay, this memory address is going to be assigned to my dictionary. So here is my dictionary stored at OA0 और ये आपकी डिक्शनरी का ये रहा नेम, ये रहा आपका एज, दो फैक्टर्स. ठीक है, और बाकी जो आपके मेमोरी एड्रेस थे 30 has been created and Devanshu has been taken from here. And that's how all that information is stored onto a memory address, and then that memory address is allotted to your variable dictionary. Okay, is that clear?
Yes.
Give confirmation if this is clear. Palak, is it clear?
Yes.
How things are actually happening when we write this simple codes. So these are some of the basic questions which once you are done, once you are clear, you will understand how these memory operations and everything is actually happening. Okay, now so let's say now we will get into some operations of these data structures. Okay, I've got, let's say we're going to perform some operations on data structures. Okay, so now what is going to happen in the memory? Let's say if we are going to insert an element, okay, we are going to insert an element at a step. ठीक है, हमारे पास कुछ कुछ operations हैं. We do have some set of list operations. We'll try those. Okay, let's say more on lists. So here we do have certain operations on the right hand side. We are going to put these operations in the test mode. Okay, इनको अब हम टेस्ट करेंगे साथ के साथ. सबसे पहले हम करने वाले एक append ऑपरेशन को टेस्ट कि when we append what exactly happens. Okay, and why do we call it as a one time operation or so? क्योंकि आगे इसी के बेसिस के ऊपर आपको टाइम कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी भी कैलकुलेट करनी पड़ेगी. ठीक है, तो वी आर गोइंग टू append the list. First I'm going to show you the visualization. I think with visual go I'll show you the visualization. I'll take it here, just bring it here. Okay, तो अब अगर हम एक काम करते हैं, append means we are going to insert at the end at I equal to n position. Okay, I is equal to n position पे हम करेंगे, या तो इसको एक काम करते हैं, I'm just going to put it here. ठीक है, ये चलो कोई नहीं, प्रॉपर्ली यहीं पे सेट कर लेते हैं, देख तो रहा है कम से कम. ठीक है, चलो, नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम. या मैं एक सिंपल सी छोटी सी लिस्ट बनाता हूँ सबसे पहले, ठीक है। आई जस्ट क्रिएट अ यूजर डिफाइंड लिस्ट ऑफ 3 एलिमेंट्स 1 2 3, ठीक है। 1 2 3 करके एक लिस्ट बनाई। अब 1 2 3 के अंदर मैं इंसर्ट ऑपरेशन प्रेस कर रहा हूँ। लेट्स से एट द एंड आई वांट टू इंसर्ट फोर्थ एलिमेंट, ठीक है। जब हम फोर्थ एलिमेंट इंसर्ट करते हैं, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज गोइंग टू हैपन, ठीक है। I'll click here on go. So now you can see a new vertex has been created with the function new vertex. A VTX has been stored onto the next pointer and VTX has been changed to tail. ये 3 operations हमारे पास perform होते हैं at the back end, ठीक है। अब ये जो 3 operations perform हो रहे हैं, how are they reflected in the memory? That is what we are going to understand. So what are we doing? We are appending at the end of the list, okay. So let's do that. Append operation on list. Okay. So let's say if this is my list, I'm going to call this function append. Okay. In this append, let's say I'm going to add up an element, let's say 4. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just remove all those same examples हम use करते हैं 1 2 3. Okay. And I'm going to append 4 over here. So let's just run this. तो अभी जब हमारा प्रोग्राम दोबारा स्टार्ट हुआ है, so now you can see that the heap has been cleared for the new program. The program is running, but nothing has been assigned as of now. Now what am I going to do? I'll step into this. So I'm going to get 1, 2, and 3. First memory address, second memory address, and third memory address. I have taken the complete combination of 1, 2, 3 and pasted it onto the fourth. And I've taken that memory address and saved it onto a variable known as mylist. So we got the variable value assigned. Now we are on to line number 7 for the append operation. On the right hand side, you can see that the code says, how are we trying to append? We're trying to append okay. So we're trying to perform this append operation. Okay. So what happened? We created a new vertex. Now that vertex has been assigned to the next pointer and the vertex has been stored as a tail also. Okay. Now, so tail का जो next pointer था, वहाँ पे vertex को assign कर दिया. Vertex becomes the new tail. Okay. Now, what are we going to do here? Let's just quickly check back in this operation, and it is saying that it is a big O of 1 operation, which means it only takes one execution step to perform this insertion. Okay. तो ऐसा क्यों होता है? Let's have a look. Now we are here at line number 7. So I'm going to step into this step. So mylist.append में अब सबसे पहले क्या होगा? सबसे पहले हम observe करेंगे where is the mylist. Okay. First, you are going to identify where is mylist. So we are going to get the address of mylist. So we go to this variable mylist. Okay. We extracted its memory address where that list is available. So we got that address. Now once we got that address, we reached out here that this is the address where 1 2 3 is stored. Okay. So we got the address. Now then we have taken a value 4. Okay. Now we need to create this value. We have to create this value in the memory. So we created a new value into the memory, B804. Okay. Now how many operations are going to be done with respect to append? That we need to understand. So now the append operation is going to be performed, which means creation of a new vertex. Okay. And I'll show you the function call. Let me just show you the function call also. I have my heap files and everything. Program tree, function call, where have I kept? Here's my stack. Just give me a moment. Yeah, I have here the function call and मेरे पास plotter. The program arguments I have. I have the plotter here. Okay, I'll show you with a little plotter. Okay, chalo. So now we are going to perform that append operation. So once we execute that append operation, now what exactly happened? That 4 has been done. Okay. So now this becomes an address OX10E4580 something. Okay. यहाँ पे हमारे पास फंक्शन डेफिनेशन आएगी. ठीक है, चलो कोई नहीं, अभी हम स्टैक की लाइन नंबर 7 पे हैं. ठीक है, प्रोग्राम ट्री में अगर हम देखें तो यहाँ पे हमारी वो चल रही है. ठीक है, हमने कॉल रेज किया. ठीक है, फंक्शन कॉल किया, वैल्यू नेम फेच किया. ठीक है, लोड किया, और एट्रीब्यूट अपेंड था उसको हमने लोड किया. ठीक है, ये सब मेमोरी के अंदर लोड होता जा रहा है. फिर हमने आर्ग्यूमेंट्स लिस्ट निकाली, उसमें से नंबर निकाला 4, नंबर की वैल्यू हमें मिली 4. ठीक है, सो अकॉर्डिंगली वी आर डूइंग, और फिर फाइनली हमारे पास एक एम्प्टी कीवर्ड है. अब उसके अंदर हम ऐड करेंगे. ठीक है, सो लेट्स से फाइनली वी गॉट दिस OX 505 which becomes none here. ठीक है, एक काम करता हूँ, एक बार ना इसको दोबारा रन करता हूँ मैं. ठीक है, लेट्स जस्ट स्टेप ओवर, सॉरी. सो यहाँ पे हैं अभी हम 1 2 3. ठीक है, अब एक बार दोबारा से ध्यान से देखना. ठीक है, हमने स्टोर किया, वैल्यू हमारी लिस्ट की आ गई. अब हमारे पास ये आया एक्सप्रेशन. ठीक है, अब देखो ये है हमारा एक्सप्रेशन. ठीक है, दिस इज आवर फर्स्ट एक्सप्रेशन. हमने क्या कॉल किया, क्या कॉल किया, एक फंक्शन एट्रीब्यूट कॉल किया. ठीक है, फंक्शन नेम लिया हमने. नहीं, अच्छा ये तो माई लिस्ट वाला ही है, इसको तो अभी हमने लोड कर दिया. अपेंड फंक्शन है. ठीक है, हाँ हाँ ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है, क्लियर है. ठीक है, चलो देखते हैं. सो वी आर हियर ऑन दिस लिस्ट, हमने कॉल किया. ठीक है, अब हम नेक्स्ट पे आ गए. हमारी लिस्ट हमने उठा ली, फंक्शन एट्रीब्यूट से हमने नेम कॉल किया, हमने माई लिस्ट को कॉल कर दिया. ठीक है, माई लिस्ट को कॉल करने के बाद में हमने एक एड्रेस निकाला, जो हमारी माई लिस्ट का एड्रेस था 1320. वो निकालने के बाद हमने 4 क्रिएट कर लिया. फिर हमने अपेंड ऑपरेशन लिया. हमने अपेंड ऑपरेशन यानी जो हमारा नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर आएगा, ठीक है, ये वाला 10EC3058, देखो सबसे ऊपर यहाँ पे टॉप पे बन गया एक नन करके. ठीक है, सो दैट मीन्स दैट बिकम्स द नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर, जो खाली है, जहाँ पे नेक्स्ट वैल्यू आकर के स्टोर होगी, जिसके साथ में लिंक करना है हमें. ठीक है, अब लिंक करने के लिए ECE3058 ये हमारा नन हो गया, एंड फाइनली वी एक्सिक्यूटेड दैट. सो दैट बिकम्स अवर नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर वंस वी एडेड द लिस्ट. ठीक है, अब हम एक काम करते हैं, इसके बाद में एक और अपेंड करते हैं, माई लिस्ट डॉट अपेंड लेट्स से 5. ओके, अब आपको और क्लियर होगा. माई लिस्ट में हम अपेंड कर रहे हैं 5, लिस्ट तो वही है सेम. दोबारा से डिबग करते हैं. लेट्स कम टू स्टेप ओवर. ठीक है, नेक्स्ट लाइन पे आ जाते हैं. अब हम आगे सेकंड एक्सप्रेशन पे, यह हमारा सेकंड एक्सप्रेशन है. ठीक है, तो क्या क्या होता है, मतलब वी कॉल द फंक्शन एंड वी गिव द नेम वैल्यू. The ID would be my list. Then we are going to load that list. We are going to perform an append operation, and we are going to load that element. Then we are going to identify the argument. We are going to give that argument. Okay, somewhat like this is going to happen. So we got my list append.5. We selected my list. We got that address stored at 60. Then we got 5. We created that variable 5. Then we took that value. ठीक है, BA0 हमें मिला था, जहाँ पे हमने 5 स्टोर किया. अब आ गई हमारी 058 की वैल्यू. ठीक है, 058 क्या है हमारा, नन, नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर अगेन. ठीक है, AC058. सो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज बीइंग डन, अभी नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर हमारा एक तरीके से एग्जीक्यूट होता जा रहा है. ठीक है, एक नया मेमोरी एड्रेस 058 हमारे पास बन गया है. ठीक है, जो भी हम डाल रहे हैं उसकी नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर को वो वहां पे पहले लेके जाता है, एंड देन इट ट्राइज टू ऐड इट. ओके, इज दैट क्लियर? ये वाला पार्ट क्लियर है आप लोगों को? सो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज हैपनिंग, वी आर क्रिएटिंग अ न्यू वर्टेक्स, वी आर पुटिंग दैट वर्टेक्स ऑनटू नेक्स्ट, एंड वी आर पुटिंग दैट वर्टेक्स एज अ टेल. ठीक है, तो जो नेक्स्ट पॉइंटर है उस पे भी हम स्टोर कर रहे हैं, और नेक्स्ट पे भी मतलब टेल पे भी स्टोर कर रहे हैं। तो टेल अब अगर यहाँ पे आप देखोगे तो जो हमारी लिस्ट है दैट इज द लास्ट एलिमेंट एट द लिस्ट 5 which is being appended. Okay guys, give me a confirmation if that is clear to you. Clear हो गया?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, सो अब इस तरीके से अब आप प्रॉपर्ली समझ सकते हो कि कैसे हमारे इंडिविजुअल ऑपरेशंस हो रहे हैं। ठीक है, बाकी नाउ व्हाट विल डू, विल प्रोसीड टू द नेक्स्ट सेशन एंड नेक्स्ट सेशन में हम आगे और फर्दर ऑपरेशंस को अंडरस्टैंड करेंगे और ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग करने के बाद हम कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग को बिल्कुल डीप में समझेंगे, एक एक फंक्शन को, कि हमारा एक एक एल्गोरिथम, एक एक फंक्शन कैसे ऑपरेट कर रहा है। ठीक है, so we are going to understand all those function calls and we are going to understand कि कौन से attribute में क्या data आ रहा है, कैसे वो linked है, कैसे हम उसे process कर रहे हैं, so that you will get complete clarity in mind that how actually the things work. So that's all for the day. Let's catch up in the next session. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
So please upload the video and all the resources on Whitehall also.
I'll upload the video. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Palak, any questions?